Take 167. This is... I was going to say I can explain, but I can't. I've been cuddling a teddy, okay? Sue me. It's my comfort teddy. It's cold, it's miserable. I'm stuck inside because of it being so horrible. So I thought I'd make you miserable as well and just do a YouTube video. But I'm going to do an overview of two books what came this week. It's from one of my current favourite lines that I'm really obsessed with at the moment, and that's the DC Finest range of books, because they're all $39.99 and they average at least 550 pages to about 650, apart from the Blue Beetle one, I think it was. So the two that I got are very Batman heavy, of course, because I love Batman, but they're from different periods. First one is DC Finest Team Ups, Chase to the End of Time. So this features the selected strips from 1978 to 79, featuring Brave and Bold, which was the Batman team-up book, and DC Comics Presents, which was the Superman team-up book. It's wonderful. The stories can be a bit camp and cheesy in places, but most comics in the 70s were. But they read better than they expected them to be honest. But the main reason for buying these, the art. So for Batman, the predominant artist on the Batman stories is the legend himself, Jim Aparo. Bob Haney's on the writing. I've only read one issue so far, and it was good. It was a good. I love the 70s Joker because he wasn't as much of a psychopath, and he had a certain crazy charm about him, which I think has been lost now. And there's just some of the people that teams up with, like the Creeper, the Human Target as well. It's just they were just I forgot how good these team up comics were. This is what I used to read back in the 70s. So he teams up with people like Batman teams up with Aquaman, Supergirl, Flash, Green Lantern, and so on. And like I said, the majority are done by Jim Aparo on the artwork. He really is, for me, he is the Batman artist. But the Superman strips are no slouch as well, because you have people like Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, who's, in my eyes, one of the best, if not the best, Superman artist. And you've got writing by David McElhinney on quite a lot of the stories. And I've forgotten who the other writer is. Okay, this is dead air. Yeah, but I think he's the main writer. But I think no, McLean is not the main writer. Martin Pasco. That's it. Martin Pasco is the main writer. But yeah, so this book has 550, about 560 pages. Um, but with the Superman ones, you've got people like one that I'm looking forward to reading. Is the Superman and Swamp Thing team up, which I think I had back in the day. Oh, my hair's crazy today. Superman, Sergeant Rock, Superman, Superboy. That's just the charm of these stories is there's no continuity. It was like they could do whatever they wanted in the books without them having repercussions on any other series that are around at the time. And looking back without having the child's eye now, as looking back as an adult, you missed some of the humour. I definitely didn't appreciate the art as much as I do now. I mean, look at some of the covers, so dynamic. But yeah, I highly recommend hunting it out. It's unlike a lot of DC's Silver Age, which can feel a bit starchy and extremely wordy. The word count in the Bronze Age in the 70s did dilute quite a bit because you had people like Denny O'Neil coming on and Marty Pasco, Bob Haney, and they just wrote stuff. But there's still that slightly camp element in this period of comics because it's before the grim and gritty came around. But yeah, really pleased to got it. Like I said, I've only read one book comic so far from it, but it's one where you can just dip in and dip out. I'm really pleased to got it. But one which I think I'll read back to back is this one, which is a beast of a book. This one, why did I do this when I'm doing videos? It's so hard to turn pages. This one has over 650 pages. This is DC Finest Batman Red Skies. So this one is located just before the previous two DC Finest Batman books. So this one is before the one which features Batman Year 1 and Year 2. So this is the lead up to DC Crisis, and also has some strips which come on just after that. But it's the talent on these. So you've got Doug Munch on writing, and then you've got Tom Mandrake and Gene Colan on the artwork for Detective and Batman. And you've also got people like Paul Gulacy and I think Marshall Rogers. There's a few strips as well in here. So it's like the cream of the crop when it comes to the artwork. I've read quite a lot of these years ago because this is when I seriously committed to collecting comics in 1985, especially with Batman, because back in those days, yeah, we had a comic shops, fantastic, but you could also get a lot of DC comics from um, local newsagents, what I guess in America you call them drugstores. And I used to have, in 1985, 86, I was going to art college then, and there's this really cool newsagents just on my way, which I used to walk past on my way back from college, and they had like a whole row of DC comics and a row of Marvel comics. So I used to get my Swamp Things, Batman, Detective from there. So I can remember some of these strips, but I've forgotten how good the art was in these. I mean, Gene Colan was amazing on Daredevil. He was amazing on um, oh fuck, I've forgotten now. Tomb of Dracula and things like that. But this, with his later work, he really learned to appreciate his. He had a very painterly style with his pencils. It's quite unusual. And then, of course, like I said, you've also got Tom Mandrake, who's no slouch in the art department. His Spectre and Martian Manhunter series were fantastic, and he gives a like that kind of nice, suitably gothic kind of flavour to this period of Batman, which is something that Doug Munch excelled in. And then there's also other artists on here as well. Like I said, like let me see if I can find him. And this is the period of I think it was I think this is Jason Todd Robin, but this is the period of when Catwoman was in her purple costume. So it's that really nice cusp of before it became too grim and gritty. So it had still some of the fun factors of pre-crisis Batman, but it had a solid enough detective story angle to it as well, which is why I love. I love Batman as a detective with slightly gothic overtones. We've got Poe Gulacy on here as well, who's a wonderful, wonderful artist. But the thing that I'm really excited for, because I had this in its original form when it came out quite a number of years ago. Good God, so it's 86, so my God. I've just had like a check on how old I am now because of this. 86, it's what, 86? 96? Nearly 40 years ago. Oh my God. But it's the annual for the anniversary issue, sorry, for issue 400 with a wonderful Bill Sienkiewicz cover. And this features people like introduction by Stephen King, artwork by Art Adams, Terry Austin, Brian Bolland, John Byrne, Paris Cullens, Mike Grell, Mike Kaluta, Carl Kessel, Joe Kubert, Steve LaHolia, Rick Leonardi, Steve Lytle, Laurie Malstedt, Bruce Patterson, George Perez, Steve Rude, Bill Sienkiewicz, Ken Stacey, Tom Sutton, Ricardo Villagran, and Benny Wrightson. So you've got like the cream of the crop in here. So if you've never read this issue, and this sounds silly saying this, but it's worth shelling out $39.99 just for this. So you've got, oh, it's wonderful. Steve Lytle, who was underappreciated, who went too soon. You've got Brian Bolland, and like I said, there's George Perez. It's a rogues gallery of the cream of the crop when it comes to artwork. And then, of course, got the wonderful experimental style of Bill Sienkiewicz, who was a big influence on me when I was trying to become a comic artist back in the 80s and 90s. I'll have to dig out my artwork sometime just to show you, because I do look at it sometimes and go, oh God. But yeah, I'll do a special of that. But yeah, so it's worth it just for that. And it's called The Red Skies because leading up to Crisis, the Crisis event, the skies in the DC universe became blood red because this big crisis where all the worlds are like colliding. And so I like how they called it that. But these have never been collected before. So it'll be wonderful just reading through it again. This, I think, will be my next read. And I'd say this is a really excellent way to read these prime Batman stories that may have been overlooked in time. Yeah, get this, and then get your Batman Year 1, Year 2 collection, and the one after that, which features the Killing Joke. It's a really handy chronological way of reading Batman and Detective from these periods. And hopefully, when they come up to like later on in the early 90s, hopefully they'll do like Shadow of the Bat and Legends of Dark Knights, which for me is my personal favourite Batman title of all time. But yeah, I just love DC Finest. I have now got 7 DC Finest. So I've got 3 Batman ones, I've got the Team Up, and I've also got Metamorpho, Green Arrow, and the Justice League Detroit era. And yeah, it's just a wonderful collection. They've taken the inspiration from Epic Collection. They really have. They've copied Epic Collections, but they've improved on it. They've improved it in cost, in paper quality, and page count as well. So it's one of the best. If you're on a budget, but you want to get value for money, this is the way to go. Okay, so this has been a very haphazard video. And again, I apologise for my comfort dog, but when you're watching TV, I like to have something to cuddle. Oh dear. Okay, bye.